Now here's one where it might not be so cut and dry because I've been nervous about this one because I've been going back and forth on it all week since we've been planning on it. It is the man of the hour. One film has his name, the other is a good old nickname. It's the Batman. Christian Bale versus Robert Pattinson. I will probably add to this, but the foremost obvious ways I think we can judge this is the Batman Bruce Wayne dynamic, the voice, because that's always a big controversy. This is one where I did put the acting because I think that it is even enough.
Okay.
And I also put the costume as well. And then there's kind of the next category would be more of their moments. So we'll get to that. I gotta say, starting off, the Bruce Wayne and Batman dynamic is much more clear with Bale, albeit a little more simplified and kind of straight to the point. Again, because it is an established Batman.
And it's kind of by design too.
Right. Whereas Pattinson, I feel like, a lot of people say, and I think we even agreed, like, yeah, he's Batman 24/7 in this film. Bruce Wayne is nowhere to be found. And I feel like I've kind of come to the conclusion of there is no Batman in this film because he keeps calling himself Vengeance. People around him are like, oh, it's the Batman. And, when he's referring to, like, his legend and his aurora, it's like, Alfred, this might be the end of the Batman. Like, to kind of show, like, no, he does not, he refuses to believe he's Batman the same way he refuses to acknowledge he is Bruce Wayne. So I think there's a very interesting dynamic there that Pattinson pulls off very well. Like, he is a broken, hurt human being that just does not know how to, like, act. Like, all these years later, after his parents get gunned down, he's still just a broken mess. And there's that great scene when he has to go to his parents' bedroom to, like, look into more, and, like, he notices the drawing he made when he was a boy, and how the parents put it in the bedroom and how that just affects him. Like, that's so great. And then we have Christian Bale, who even in Batman Begins, like, yeah, his parents' death leads him to become Batman, but it doesn't feel like it's ever eating at him. He's just trying to do it, like, because he feels like it's the right thing to do. Where Pattinson's Batman says as much, like, this is my family's legacy, Alfred.
And I kind of think that's like the whole thing of Batman in general. Like, that is his family's legacy. That moment right there was a turning point in which, even though it took some time, Bruce Wayne died too.
Mm-hmm.
It just took a lot longer, and then the Batman was born. And that became the lasting legacy of him and his parents, of that family. Yeah, I mean, the dynamic with Bruce and Batman, in the Batman, I mean, that's kind of what I was hinting at. It's by design almost, in which you don't get a really whole lot of Bruce Wayne. Because, he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't know how to act like Bruce Wayne.
Right.
It's like that part of him died so long ago. It's like, how do I act? So I think as far as that part, that's a very good point. And I mean, looking at the other parts you got here, the voice, I mean, we talked about it in part one. Bale's voice goes over the top a little bit.
It's over the top, and sometimes it's like Bale or Batman. Lucius knows you're Batman. You don't have to do the Batman voice. Or at the very end, it's like a child's life is literally on the line. Like, tone it back a bit, my dude. Yeah, Pattinson's is very natural. Pattinson's was not annoying. It's very good. It's got that, even when he's just being, non-threatening mode, it still comes off as like, I am in control. Don't test me, otherwise you're gonna get it.
Right. Yeah.
I think that kind of plays in David's. I think those two dynamics really play into the acting, because if we're going for, like, comic accuracy, I guess Bale wins the dynamic because he gets the Bruce Wayne right and he gets the Batman right. Those two personas. Although
and
it's
Bruce
kind of
Wayne's
debatable.
he's in it more.
Right. And actually, maybe this kind of goes back into this ties back into story maybe a bit. How they interact with the cops, because Bale is doing kind of the bidding for Jim Gordon, where Batman, you can tell like he does not want to be with these people. He trusts Gordon because he thinks he's a good cop, but he knows everybody else in the department's kind of scummy, and like even when he's captured, like he's insulting them. God, he insults the commissioner to his face, like I can write you up for assaulting officers. Like you can write me up for 3, idiot. But I think a big thing that wins for Pattinson, and this kind of goes into the costume, you can really see the eyes of Robert Pattinson, because that's where he is. That's where all his acting is coming from as this character. Where a lot of time for Bale, it's completely masked. Like you're almost just looking at a kind of covered face and just the mouth at times.
Yeah, who would have thought we'd be talking about Twilight Boy in this I'm in this category as far as Batman, and his acting is good. I haven't seen all the films he's acted since Twilight, but from what I've heard, it's been very, very good. And even in the complaints that you heard about him being cast, like, hey, go watch this film of his.
Right.
Go watch this film. He's very, very good. And so, like, you mentioned the eyes point, and like, how do you do that if you're wearing a mask? That's a very good way to convey emotion and what a character is going through. The eyes are sort of the lens to the soul, as the saying goes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in that moment, it's kind of the lens to his soul, to like how we view him and what he's going through. Is like, okay, like you see the little kid there at the beginning. It's like,
oh my God,
you see it through his eyes. It's like, we know exactly what he's going through right there. We don't need an origin story to know.
Without saying a word, you get the impression of like, yes, he knows what the kid's going through. That's very obvious, the most obvious takeaway, but also very subtly, immediately this Batman feels like a failure, because the whole reason he did this is for no kid to ever experience what he experienced, and it just happened on his watch when, and probably in his mind, he's like, I was just beating up a bunch of random guys on the subway when I could have swooped in and saved, the mayor of Gotham. Like, it's just such a great dynamic. It happens immediately, and the whole needle drop of Nirvana's Something in the Way, like which again, going into it, I was interested in, but I was like, God, how is that gonna work? And you just see that happen. It's like, Jesus Christ, Matt Reeves, you are the chosen one right now.
And now it's just playing in the loop somewhere.
Oh, it's brutal. So I gotta say, unless we can think of anything else before we get to Batman moments, I'm gonna give the point to Robert Pattinson.
I think I'm right there with you. I think so. Just talking through it with you and just kind of thinking about it, like you throughout the week, it's like, oh boy, this could be interesting. I think it's Pattinson. I think so. The Bruce Batman dynamic, yeah. I think we'll see that come into play in part 2. I think the voice is good. The acting, like we said, is good. The costume, I really kind of dig the costume. It's kind of like Arkham-esque, kind of, with the gadgets and stuff he has. So yeah, I think we're both going Pattinson here.